Hello, everyone. It's nice to have all of you here today with us, with me and Lorenzo Rossi from REPLUG Agency. So today we're going to speak about the in-app messaging at the marketing channel that you can use in your communication strategy. But first of all, let's do a short round of introduction. So, Lorenzo, you introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Mike, for the short intro. And thanks to the Pushwoosh team for organizing this webinar and inviting me. I'm Italian, as you might have understood from the name and from the accent. You will hear a lot. But I've been living in Berlin, in Germany, for the past 8 years, where I've been working in the mobile industry, helping different kind of applications, growing and engaging their user base. At the beginning of 2020, I've launched together with my co-founder Luca REPLUG. REPLUG is an app marketing agency. We help mobile-first companies mainly with three kind of activities. The first one is mobile growth consulting. So we tell them, or at least we try to tell them how to grow in an efficient way. We help them with paid activities for user acquisition and organic user acquisition, app store optimization. And of course, last but not least, especially today with mobile CRM activities and retention. As I said, we are pretty young. We are 2 years old almost, but we had the opportunity already to work with quite interesting partners. And we are proud to say that we have been also nominated in several awards and recognized for our work. Enough with the self-promotion. Not here for talking about me and REPLUG. We are here to talk about in-app messages. So, Mike.
Right. Yeah, and a couple of things about Pushwoosh. So we're a marketing automation platform with a focus for mobile apps and communication with mobile app users. So we're helping our clients with building a robust communication strategy using such channels as in-app messages, push notifications and emails, of course. So we've been on the market since 2011, and we are helping brands all over the world with building their mobile communication as best as they can. So today we're going to speak about the in-app messages. So the channel that may help you to build the communication inside your app while your user is doing something. So during the user flow, when you can be sure that this particular user is right with you. So it's not like with push notifications or emails when you're trying to reach the user outside the app, this particular user is inside. So with in-app messages, you can help this particular user to onboard into your app, to buy something into your app, to learn more, or maybe share more with you, this user friends and the community. So in-app messages is a great way how you can increase the engagement rate of your app. For example, we see that medium-performing apps see the increase in engagement rate for 26%, and high-performing apps up to 44% of engagement rate increase. There are several ways of how in-app messages can be shown in the app. For example, they can be triggered by a specific action or inaction, or even by push notifications. And there could be different screens and formats that you can use to reach your customer. So they could be full screen cover, stories format, sticky, header or footer, something like that. So there's different ways how you can show the content to a user with the right CTA, with the right wording and the right image. And I believe Lorenzo will share different examples of how this channel is working the best and what results you can achieve with using the right content and the right channel. So, Lorenzo.
Thanks again for the introduction and for the quick explanation about in-app messages. I think you've done a very great job in introducing the topic and to let the audience understand already that these in-app messages are very important. So now together we are going to see some examples starting from use cases. So general use cases, why those in-app messages are important. And then we will see for each or almost each of these use cases some nice examples, and then at the end also some bad examples, of course. So use cases, we can identify 3 different use cases for in-app messages. And we can start from the use case of onboarding and informing. In this first group of in-app messages, we can find messages that are basically aiming to welcome the users inside the app, to get them to move the first steps with our applications and with our features. Basically, you have welcome messages, tutorials, but also some nice informations like there are new features or discover this particular feature that might be interesting for you. So these are all messages that don't have a conversion purpose, but more likely they want the user to get to know the app. In this group of in-app messages, we also have the opt-in request, for example, for push notification on iOS. Of course, as you might know, the user need to tell you yes to receive push notification, but also, and probably it's the most important part at this point, the tracking request. Of course, you know that with iOS 14.5, there has been the introduction of the ATT. We will see later how to get advantage of in-app message also for increasing the number of people who are telling yes to the tracking. The second group of use cases is the group where you can find messages which the objective of requesting a rating, of engaging the user to do some actions. So you will find these messages that want you to refer a friend, for example, the messages that tell you, why don't you invite the friend and get something for free? Or some achievements when with the app you achieve some results, some specific level, some specific thing in the app, we can tell you to share it with your friends. So in general, those kind of messages are aiming to boost the in-app events, the specific in-app events, but not the ones related to the monetization, because the monetization is the third group of use cases. It's something apart. It's a specific use case which includes all those communication that have the objective to increase and boost the sales of our application. Of course, through this kind of in-app messages, we can communicate offers, we can communicate discounts, we can increase in general the number of orders, purchases. It really depends on the type of application. Of course, the last goal is to generate revenues, to maximize the revenue. In this kind of in-app messages, there is also the ones that want to upsell our product. When we, for example, sell a product and we want to sell then something superior, an upgrade, or cross-selling, so offering another service compared to the one that we have just sold. So those are the main three use cases. And here in this slide, let's say that there is all the importance for the in-app messages. Now we are going to see some examples of the previous case that we have just seen. Some examples, not for all of them, but for most of them, and divided by industry. So we will see some different type of apps from the commerce world, from the health world, and from the delivery. So there will be something. If you have some question, I guess that Julia wanted to ask it in the chat, right? So feel free to ask. Let's start from something very simple. It's an in-app message that want to welcome our user inside the application. This app is PhotoC. It's the leading app for printing photo in Europe. And basically, at first sight, this in-app message can look like almost useless, because come on, it's just for onboarding the user, to welcome the user. Why do we do that? In fact, this in-app message is very important. First of all, because we communicate already the feeling of this app. You see, we say, welcome to the home of emotion. So we already try to communicate our tone of voice. And then also because it's friendly. And especially in the onboarding, we need to be friendly with the user, because as you will see in the next slides, we will soon start asking for permission of any kind. Here you see the example of the push notification opt-in request. It's still PhotoC. It's actually the next step after the onboarding, the welcome. And here, be careful, because there are two screens. On the left, you see not the push notification opt-in, the official prompt from Apple. You see the pre-authorization made with a CRM tool. Basically, it's an in-app message where we say to the user, hey, we are gonna request you the permission to send your communication. Do you want to accept already or maybe not? So basically, when the user clicks on accept on the first screen, then at that point we show the push notification opt-in, the official request. So we show the request only to those users who say yes, not to the ones who click on the top right to the X. And if the user doesn't accept the first screen, then we can request the push notification team in a second time, maybe in a moment where we believe that is more likely that they will accept. So again, this is important. It's a pre-authorization made with an in-app message. Talking about permissions request, as I mentioned during the introduction, a big part of the permission now is the ATT. The ATT is the app tracking transparency, is this framework that you can see on the right. It's something that Apple has introduced starting April 2021 with iOS 14.5. And it's something mandatory if the app developers want to track the user with IDFA. In this example, you can see again a very nice use case for the in-app message in terms of pre-authorization. The app is Runtastic from Adidas. And you see that on the left screen, before to show the ATT prompt, Runtastic is giving actually a very nice explanation of why the users should approve the tracking. Basically, they say, help us improve your app experience. And they tell you even what is IDFA, because most of the people probably don't know. So basically, the user starts getting into this concept of tracking and probably will accept or not, but at least if they accept, they know what they are accepting. Of course, here the advantages are multiple, because like you can make really the user aware of what they are accepting. Here in the following slide, again, we see an example for the ATT request. On the left, you see Photo C again, that is putting an in-app message below the official request so that they have all the information in one page. On the right, instead, you see Bumble, it's the dating app, which is doing something more similar to Runtastic. They are explaining why they should accept in the next page when they accept. So again, here we decided to put a bit more of examples because we noticed also with our clients, with our partners, that this topic is getting very, very important. So the CRM in-app messages are a very powerful tool to increase the ATT accept rate. Enough with the permissions. At a certain point, we need to start asking permissions to the user, and we can start informing them. For example, here, we can see a nice example, in my opinion, from Headspace. Headspace is a meditation app. And in this very specific example, they are informing me, because that's my account, about a new feature that I might want to try. Very nice, very clear, very neat. There is the graphic that is actually very similar to the app interface. There is a title that is very clear with a call to action, already discover what's new. And most important, they give me a reason to try. They tell me you should try it because you will get this kind of advantage. And then there is a call to action, find my focus. So this is a very nice example of informing purpose of a new feature. If we then want to consider the next use case, the second group of use case, that was the engaging purpose, the engaging group, we can again see something from Photo C, which are very good in terms of in-app messaging used. And in this case, they want to request, their objective is to get 5-star reviews. Attention again. In this case, we don't see the official iOS prompt for getting the review. In this case, we see again a pre-authorization. Oh, how does it work? So we don't tell the user, give me 5-star review. In this case, we ask the user, do you like Photo C? And then we give 2 options. In the left, we say not so much. On the right, we say, yes, it's fantastic. Of course, our intent is to get positive reviews, so we will only show the official review pop up to the user who said, yes, it's fantastic. To the ones that say that they don't like the app, of course, we will show something like, give us your feedback, or we are sorry, we will try to improve our experience. So again, the pre-authorization is a very powerful tool for getting what we want, basically, in a way to trick the user in a positive way. In terms of engagement, but talking about inviting friends, so pushing the users to refer a friend and suggest our application to their friends, family members, etc. We can see an example from Wine Livery. Wine Livery is one of our longest partner, is delivery app. They actually deliver alcoholic beverage, so wine, beer, and ice also, now also flowers. So it's delivered in 15 minutes. And in this specific case, they wanted to increase the referral rate. So they wanted to get the user to invite their friends. Now, the text, I believe it's in Italian. I'm going to translate it for you quickly. Basically, in the title, we ask, are you a good friend? And then in the text, we say, if you are, prove it now. Invite your friends, get them 10 euros for free, and you will get a lot of credits. So this has been tested. It's been a very powerful approach because basically we play a bit with emotion. We are Italian. We like to play with emotion. So we tell them, if you're a good friend, now you prove it. And actually, also in the call to action, we don't say invite the friend. We say, yes, I am a good friend. And this worked pretty well. Also because it was combined soon after with this kind of campaign. This one, as you can see, it's the first example of a slider, so not the full screen or half interstitial. This one is an in-app message with a slider banner from the top. And basically here it's saying that if you invite a friend, you get double the credits when the friend registers. So it's still invite your friends to get even more advantages. And of course, these combined actions generated a lot of new referred friends. Last example for the referral purpose, it's still from Photo C. Here is a bit different because you can see that it's full screen. But what we wanted to show here is the clarity, the simplicity, right? It's like give your friend a gift. 10 euro for them, 10 euro for you, invite with the call to action. So here, again, in-app message is a powerful tool to get the user to do some action. The trigger moment is very important for both of the examples. Here, in this case, can be triggered after the order is completed because the user is most likely happy because he just completed the order, so they might have had a nice experience and they want to invite their friends. In the other cases, for example, for Wine Livery, it was for good users. So when the good users with more than 3 launches per week open the app, the fourth time we showed the app message to invite the friends. So it really depends on the type of industry, on the type of app, and we can decide the different trigger. Still in the group of the engagement, but with different purposes, we want to show here another example from Headspace. It's again an example from my account, something that I've been shown that in my opinion, was kind of interesting because in this case, Headspace is trying to get me to use a specific feature. In this case, this feature is the monthly check-in, meaning every month, I don't know if you're familiar with the meditation app, but every month they can ask you, tell me how are you? Put me your level of stress, your level of anxiety, and all these kind of things, so that I use a feature, I use the app, so we increase the app usage, but also I give them valuable information regarding myself. And in this way, they will be able to target me even better with further communication and with other campaigns. So this is, again, another nice example, to use a feature, but also to give the app more information. So very well done. Also here, the design, very neat, very clear, title, short text, and call to action. To go back to sport, another example for engaging in-app message, here it's again Runtastic from Adidas. It's when the user reaches the goal, the yearly goal of I think it's running, yes. So this user reached the 1,000 kilometers per year. And this is very, very subtle because it's saying congratulations. So we are praising the user for achieving something. And so the user is already feeling happy, because of course, if you tell the user that they are great, they are going to feel happy. At the same time, we tell them, we ask them, we suggest them to share this result. And of course, if the user is feeling like has achieved something important, they will want to share it with a friend or with a social network. So in this way, we have both information, because we tell the user how great they are, but we want them to share these results, and of course have the possibility to create new user, create referred users. After all this, let's say, onboarding, engaging informations and whatsoever, of course, the app also needs to monetize, right? And we wanted to show this example following the previous one, because it's directly, it's still from Runtastic, Adidas. And this, in our opinion, is an amazing example of cross-selling, because this in-app message was shown at the end of a run, so at the end of the activity, and Runtastic knew that with this pair of shoes, with these sneakers, I was running more than the kilometers that I should. So these shoes are basically overused. So they tell me, look, dude, you have been running too much with these shoes. Maybe you need some new sneakers, some new pair of shoes. And then if you click to go to shoe, you actually go to the Adidas store. So this is a very good example from Adidas to get advantage of their other application. This is Runtastic. So a good way to monetize. At the end, I didn't buy the shoes, but still, I like the example. Still for the monetizing group, now we start seeing some more not complicated but more articulated examples. As you can see now, you see a push notification on the left and an in-app message on the right. Why that? Because when you want to generate orders, monetize and boost the orders, you want to be powerful. So I will explain this use case. It's wine delivery, the wine delivery service. And in this specific case, we want to communicate a discount to the users, a special discount for the comeback of the holidays. Basically, on the left in the push notification, we say, are you sad because the holidays are over? You need to come back to work. No worries. Relax with a drink. We give you €5 for free. We love you. And that was the short message. Plus, we decided to add an in-app message for several reasons. The reasons, what are the advantages of adding the in-app message to a push notification? The first one is that when the user click on the push notification, probably they haven't noticed the promo code. So you put the promo code, they never remember when they open. They don't find it inside the app. So that's the first advantage. They click the push notification, they open, and they find the code again. Second, you can reinforce the message for the discount. You can say again, order now, order this, and order that. And third, the third advantage of having also the message is that not all the users receive the push notification, right? We have seen in the beginning that the user need to accept for the push notification. They need to accept to receive push notification on iOS. And also on Android, they don't see all the push notifications. So again, adding an in-app message, we also get those users who didn't get the push notification, but they open the app and they find a discount. This kind of combined action can really bring a lot of benefits in terms of boosting the purchases. We tested it several times, and we noticed that this is kind of way we do, at least for wine delivery. That's the same example, basically. We wanted to put it because it's a bit more time sensitive. This one is a special promotion that we did for the European Cup. that we want, by the way. And we wanted to give the user a discount code specifically for this match that was Italy versus Switzerland. And again, we saw a lot of more engagement, a lot of more purchases using push notification plus in-app messages. Again, some say that adding the in-app message decrease the conversion rate. In our opinion, from what we have seen, it really helps from to boost the conversion rate because it's more clear, and on the other side, to reach more people that didn't receive the push notification. So as you can see, in-app messages are a powerful tool, very powerful tool used alone, but they can also be used together with push notification and with other actually mediums for CRM. It's the case of the orchestrated CRM campaign. So this big name, and in the end, it's nothing but, we call it journeys. So I like to call them journeys, and it's basically it's a campaign which is using push notifications, in-app messages, emails, and all the other medium of mobile CRM to reach the same goal. We will see now some specific examples. Now you see a new app. This one is Podimo. It's a podcast app. We help them develop this second listen journey. We wanted to generate the second listen. Basically, after the user finishes the first episode of the podcast, we want already to tell them, we want to find already a way to generate the second listen. And of course, we could have done it just with this in-app message on the right. But in the end, if we used something like this is an orchestrated campaign, we managed to achieve better results. Because how does it work? Basically, in this journey, you have a trigger point, an entry point. The entry point in this case is the first listen. The user finishes the first episode. At that point, we showed enough message. So what's next? Show me, and can generate already the second listing. But here, you have options. You can say if they do this action, in this case, if they listen the second episode, we then send a push notification after 1 day. If they didn't do the action that we wanted, we can wait for 3 days and send a reminder email. This, of course, is a very simplified view, because these kind of journeys can go on for days, for weeks, for months. Let's say we can communicate with the user until they don't do the action that we want. But the concept here is that it's easier to achieve a goal if we use more channel of communication rather than if we have just a single occasion, right? So this one was one of the example. The second example is still for wine livery. And in this case, we wanted to generate the second order. So again, the user download the app, registers, they make the first order. At that point, we say, okay, order again. How can we do that? We can do that directly with an in-app message right after the first order. We can tell them, hey, look, this discount code, you can use it in your next order. Or we can create a complex journey where after the first order, the user enters the journey, then they receive a push notification, let's say after, I don't know, 1 day or 20 or 36 hours. And at the point, if they open the push notification, they are shown the in-app message with the promotion. Otherwise, they can be sent an email after, again, 3 days here in the example with a discount voucher. So in this way, we really managed to get boost of conversions rather than just having a single touch point with the user after the order. So as you can see, again, in-app messages are powerful if they are included in a strategy, in an holistic strategy. They can be even more powerful. And I've been happy to show you so far some nice examples, at least in our opinion. It was like some nice design example. The text was very clear, the UX was not disrupted, and the call to actions were always very actually performance. Now I want to show you just a couple of things that are not so in line with the best practices, to so to say. And we start with this one that at first sight, I mean, it looks normal, no? I mean, it's okay. Like it's nothing so bad. But then if we stop a moment and we analyze, like we just notice that this one, it's not an app message. This is just an iOS pop-up interface, right? It's just like an official request from Apple. So you could even think that it's Apple asking you something. Indeed, there is no design. There is clearly too much text. The message is like free delivery tonight. It's clear, but still then there is a lot of things. And okay, most importantly, it's not a call to action. Like the button is there for doing something. So there we should always write do something. In general, like this kind of messaging, it doesn't look so in line with the app interface, with the UI. Still better than the second example that we decided to show you. This is something that my eyes were crying, because here you see, I think just imagine you download an app and in the first probably 2 seconds you see this. It's here 3 in-app messages. The one that you see is the request for the permission, the permission request for push notification. And then below there is something else, and then below there is again something else. So at the end, because of this horrible experience, I probably skipped everything. I didn't allow the push notification. I closed enough message, and I selected no in the last one that we couldn't even see. We couldn't even see what was. So what we should remember always when we do in-app messages is that those are still part of the UX of the app. So we need to try not to disrupt the experience of the user. We need actually to think about the holistic approach. In this case, the holistic approach was not considered. And what is, in our opinion, the best way to think holistically about in-app messages and CRM in general? I think the best way is to work with frameworks. And we are going to the conclusion. To work with frameworks is the easiest thing to have a system. Like here, we developed, for example, at REPLUG, this CRM growth framework that can be adopted for CRM strategy in general, but also for in-app message strategies. And it's very simple. Like it's made of 5 steps, and it always starts with an audit. And the audit means understanding what is the status quo. So in the previous example, for example, I would just say the status quo is pretty bad, because everything was disrupting the experience. And then in the phase of the audit, we understand the KPIs, we understand the levers and the flows, we understand the UX and the UI, and then we develop a strategy. We develop a plan for the CRM that needs to be implemented in the next stage and needs to be analyzed after it's been running for a while, and of course at the end optimized. As you can see, the 3 stages of this framework are repeating forever, because when you start with the campaign, of course, then with the tools that fortunately, luckily, we have today available for CRM, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of informations that we can use for optimizing the campaigns, for optimizing the content, and for optimizing, of course, the targeting. So this is our CRM growth framework that, of course, thinking about the holistic approach, it's not all, because the CRM part is just a small part in the app marketing activities, and it's just the tip. As you can see, this rocket is something that, again, we developed here at REPLUG. It's the growth rocket model. The CRM and engagement part is just the top, right, of the rocket, but it's still very important because it's connected with all the parts. How can be connected with all the other app marketing parts? But first thing that I have in my mind is the UX and UI. As we said, like the in-app messages are still part of the app. So they need to be the same design, they need to respect the UX of the app, and they need to be in line. Second thing is the user acquisition part, right? So the users that we acquire with the campaigns on Facebook, with the campaigns on Twitter, Google, or also organic, those users are the same that the CRM team will be engaging with email, with push notifications, with enough messages. So the message needs to be constant, needs to be aligned. And also, I'm thinking about the tracking part. Like we see at the base of the rocket, there is the tracking and attribution. If we have a solid tracking structure, if we have the information, we can create specific CRM strategies for different kind of users, the ones that are coming from Facebook, the ones that are coming from Google, and whatsoever. And of course, last but not least, the conversion funnel. That is like something that can be highly influenced by push notification, app messages, and email. So as you can see, this rocket is important in all its parts to have an efficient and an effective growth. On the sides, you see the market and the competitions. Of course, you need to have a look of what your competitors are doing to align. But especially in CRM is very important to check what the market is doing, how the market is moving. And I'm talking, for example, of special events, special occasion, for example, the Euro Cup, really understanding what's going on around and create valuable content to be served to the user through CRM. And I think that was it. Thank you very much for the attention.
Lorenzo, thanks a lot for such detailed content. I have one question, honestly. And I can see this question in the comments. So how do you experiment on the content? So you showed so many great examples with the UI and the text and so on, but how do you come up with such a solution for this particular message?
Very nice question. So the content production, it's something that can be quite underestimated because it's very important. Okay, I mean it's the main part, and it's made of probably two parts: text and images. And for in my experience, the text is something that needs to be done by a copywriter because you have very specific purposes for in-app messages and for CRM in general. While for the content, it depends on what kind of team you have, because maybe you have a product design team and you have a marketing design team. If those two teams are separated, it's very important that they talk to each other, because otherwise you have totally different designs that are not respecting the UI. In general, and that's to answer a part of the question. So how you come up with content, how you test? Well, with A/B testing, like now you can really see everything. So Pushwoosh and all the other tools offer solid A/B testing opportunities. So you just divide the audience in 2, 3, 4 parts, and you send different pieces of content, and you see the ones that are performing better. And before to see the data, I suggest you not to make assumption that this will work better than the other. So this is the way that, in my opinion, is the best way to test content. You can use the control group, but this is more to see the effectiveness of the campaigns. Like to test the content, really, it's better to do A/B testing or ABC testing.
Yeah, got it. Thanks. So, so if any of you have questions to Lorenzo, please leave them in the chat. Meanwhile, let us move further with the parts about how to create an effective messaging strategy, how to integrate it into your app. And here I will take the role to explain some concepts about what are the different types of solutions you may have and how to work with in-apps as an additional channel in your communication strategy. So first of all, how to implement. So this is a very important question because you have several options, what you can do in your own app to start communicating with the audience inside your app. Like there are like 3 main ways of what you can do. The first one is basically just to integrate this in-app directly into your app. With the help of your development team, you just integrate these in-apps right inside your app, publish them in the stores, and you can like basically show these in-apps to your audience. The main disadvantage of this approach is that you don't have any control on your own site. You need to re-upload and republish your application in the store. You're not able to track the results without building some additional tools. So basically, it's just the first step, but this is something that I would not recommend. Another option is to build your own tool. So you create an internal tool to control the communication, to control the in-apps. You build it, you maintain it, you support it. So no need to upload the in-app message. And then in the first option, but still you have to develop it on your own side and have people that will support it, because no one other does. So again, not so great option. And the third path that I suggest you should take is to use a dedicated solution, that is developed specifically to communicate with users, for example, with in-app messaging, because you do not need to involve your development resources. You don't need to republish your app. You can control the in-app flow, do the A/B testing, collect data, change the content, change the UX for each in-app message right from the UI of the specific application. And Pushwoosh provide you with such capabilities, so you can always use our solution to build the communication flow that will grant you the best results you can find on the market. So there's a short plan of how you can build your communication strategy. And thanks, Lorenzo, for highlighting this previously, so I won't spend much time here. So you need to define your strategy, plan your communication flow, and test, refine, and test again. Basically, here are the several things you will need to remember while doing it, and you will be able to use this presentation and the checklist that will help you to build the right strategy. But while doing the homework, it may look like this. So you will need to create a lot of different flows, schemes, and content, and so on, just to define the right moment, the right place, the right content, and so on, that will grant you the best results you can find on while communicating with your audience. But you don't need to have all of this in different tools, because, well, in one place you will have the flow, in another place you will have the content. You'll need to combine them. You will need to find the right way how we can orchestrate this all information to build the right flow. You can do this in one tool. So I will show you shortly how you can create the customer journey flow, the journey that Lorenzo was mentioning previously, inside the right product, with the ease of just building and drag and dropping several steps on the canvas without doing any hard work on your own side. So let me switch to the product and just show you how you can build the messaging part inside your application without having to involve your development team. So now I'm in the Pushwoosh control panel, Pushwoosh dashboard, where you can see all of the communication flows, all of the statistics, all of the analytics, and so on. So at the tool, we are like a certain marketing tool that help you to work with the messaging channels, such as push notification, in-app, and emails, to work with the audience, like with collecting the data about users, building segments, collecting events, and so on, and of course, preparing content. So today we're going to focus on two main things about how to prepare content, well, basically the content for in-app messaging, and how to build journeys, which I have here. So first of all, about the content. So Lorenzo mentioned that it's really important to make sure that you have the right UI for each message, that you have the right time for each message, and that you have the content for each message prepared by a person that knows how to write and what to write. So with using such tools as Pushwoosh, you can build this right in the UI without having to use several tools. You can create a new rich media, upload the existing one if you have some HTML file or something like that from external tool, or you can use a template which we provide to create the message that will get the attention of your audience. In my case, I will be using the already prepared one, for example, this one. And as you can see, all of the information on this particular screen is available to be edited. You can have multi-language in-app messages. You can control the text, the colors, the icon, the background image, and so on, and even the logic behind each button on the screen. So with using this UI approach, you can control the visibility of the full content of the in-app messages right from the UI and upload it right away to your app without having to change, well, basically anything else. And when you've created this message, so I've created this in-app already, I can build a customer journey that will get the attention from my audience. I believe that you may be familiar with this particular journey, because this is this journey that Lorenzo was showing you previously. So this is the journey for the listeners of the podcast app, where we have this first listen event, That is like basically a start for the journey. The in-app messages that we are showing to our users, the filtering, and so on. So using this approach, when you're just dragging and dropping the particular message, the particular channel, the particular testing, and so on, we can simply drag and drop the whole journey and activate it with the ease. But let me show you how you can do this in case I do not have anything prepared. So I have this first listen option here. And the first thing I need to do is to start working with the onboarding flow. So I will select the in-app message. And I have this welcome newcomers use case. So I can just simply show this new welcome screen to all my users. I, again, can control it from the UI, the boarding, the texting, the images, and so on. And then right after showing this particular screen, for example, I can double check that my user will receive the welcome message from me, and I can send push notifications with the same content. Then maybe I'll try to do some specific A/B testing. So for example, I won't like to test whether or not emails are working or in-apps are working or both of them are working. So I can build 3 flows, with one of them being the control group, where we'll just show the particular in-app message with opt-in request for getting push notifications. Well, there's stay tuned value. For the group B, I will send an email. And for group C, I will send push notification and then in-app message. With this approach, I can not only combine several channels at once, but I can also test and see how the different communication strategy will work within my audience. And again, as you can see, there's no problem at all with combining them all in one journey, because you have the full control of how the journey will look like in Pushwoosh 2. And also, it's really important to highlight some things for you to remember in the journey. These comments, these thoughts about how to communicate with the user, what's at the right time, and so on. So you can always have some comments here about your thoughts and your experiment that you're currently taking on a particular test. So for example, I can leave a note for me that I'm testing the right approach. And when anyone from my team, maybe my head of marketing or someone else, will take a look into the specific journey, there will be an information about what is this journey about, how I'm trying to reach my audience, how did I prepare the content, and so on and so forth. So basically, you can have like all of your thoughts, all of your channels, all of your communication in one place, not having to like have whiteboards in one place, concept of the in-apps in another place. You can have all of them in one specific tool. So basically, this is the way how you can build the whole flow, the whole journey. So in the end, we prepared a specific checklist that you can use in your own company to build the in-app communication strategy, combine it with the additional channels such as emails and push notifications, and also useful use cases to remember when in-app messages are working the best, like during the onboarding period or for promotion, app updates, and so on. So I hope that this checklist will help you to get better results with the communication strategy, to increase the traction of your mobile app, well, and basically increase the results you're getting with using such tools as Pushwoosh. In case you have any questions, maybe anything to add here, feel free to ask right now. Okay, so let me check the chat right now. So, Julia, can you see any questions? Okay.
Yeah, actually, we had some questions. Let me tell them. So can you share some results for feature adoption use case? How does the in-app engagement? I guess it's for Lorenz, so if you could please.
Yeah, I think it's mostly for Lorenz. So Lorenz, what do you think about feature adoption use case?
Well, that's I think I think it was related to the example from Headspace, and I mean, unfortunately, Headspace it's not one of our clients yet, so I don't have the specific numbers. But I can say like that in this kind of objectives, for example, when we want the user to do an update of the app, it can be also 100%. Like if you force the update, for example, if it's something that is mandatory, you can tell you can show the user when they open the app, update the app now, and if not, you cannot use it. So the adoption rate can be very, very high. And regarding features, it really much depend on how you pose the questions, right? On how you pose the enough message, because if you just say, hey, there is a new feature, like maybe I say, okay, I don't want to try it, I just want to be here for my regular business. If instead you say, hey, there is this feature that is cool for this reason and can bring you this advantage, the adoption rate can be much higher. So
Great.
That's my suggestion.
Yeah, well, I can share some examples from Pushwoosh experience. So basically, we have a lot of clients that are using customer journey for building onboarding flows and feature adoption flows. And for some clients, we see the increase in adoption rate and basically activation rate for up to 30%, meaning that using this approach while educating users about the app, about the different possibilities with the app, it may really drive the metrics. Because when you show the relevant content for a user that is trying to get better understanding of what this particular user is doing in the app, what this particular user can achieve for the year, you get definitely better results. So for us, it was like the best results we saw was like up to 30%, but still you can get like 20, 15, maybe 40%. It's only the matter of experimenting and testing once again, because you can always increase the results that you're getting with any communication channel, and with the apps particularly.
Yeah, I totally agree. If I can add, like, if you test and test and test, it's a iterative process, and the optimization never ends. Let's put it like this: in our opinion, there is never, as we saw also with the framework for CRM, like it's never-ending process. You can always get better results. Of course, it depends on the status quo. If you're starting from a very low point, you have, of course, room for improvements. Then you reach a point where you cannot optimize a lot, but still you can get better results, especially when the volumes are high. Because like if you have many users, like even if you have millions of users, even 0.5% plus in conversion rate, it's a lot more conversions, let's say.
Yeah. So, well, you're absolutely right. So
I have one more question, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about in-apps. So can we summarize a little bit how to measure the effectiveness of in-apps and what metrics are key here?
Who should answer this question? Mike?
We can answer this question from two standpoints, like from a platform standpoint and from like a merchant automation standpoint, the CRM strategy. So like from my point of view, like let me start with the answer. It's always important to analyze not only like the conversion rate of particular screen, like clicking on a particular button on the in-app, but to analyze the action that user takes after the in-app, like whether or not this particular user is performing the right action inside your app, whether this particular user is doing something that you expect him to do. Meaning that, for example, for onboarding flow, you will need to measure the activation metric, whether or not this user is doing some specific actions, and is this user getting aha moment, for example. For promotional, whether or not this particular user is getting the, buying something from you, or visiting the webinar, for example, or checking the specific article that you'd like to share with a specific user. So for each in-app, you might need not only to measure whether or not your user base is interacting with it, but also the specific action that you're trying to motivate them to perform. For this, you will need to track them in specific tool. For example, again, in Pushwoosh, we allow you to track events and check whether or not your users are performing the right actions inside your app. Are they doing something specific? But for each in-app, the key metric will be a specific one. Lorenzo, maybe you have some thoughts on this?
I can only agree with you. Like the most important thing, in my opinion, for evaluating the effectiveness of a campaign in general, in marketing, in performance marketing, CRM, and in-app messages as well, is to define the conversion goal, the objective. So once the objective is clear, then we can define the effectiveness. An example that I can have is like the second listen journey that there's the second order journey that we've seen for wine delivery, for example. There we can analyze the difference with a control group. So you should always set up a control group that doesn't receive the communication and see then how many conversion they get in percentage. What is the uplift, right? So when you have the event that you want to generate, the objective, in that case, it was the second order, then you see the different behavior of the group of people, of users that receive the communication compared to the other ones. Like, and again, if you don't have something to some objective, you cannot evaluate how they are doing. So I would say this combination of things: control group, use of control group, and of course clear action to be taken, because otherwise only one cannot work alone, cannot give you the answer. Then if I may add, like of course there are always the metrics like click-through rate on the in-app messages. Those are interesting because of course the more clicks you get, for example, the more chances you have to generate a purchase. Still, they are a bit vanity metric, so to say, because you can generate a lot of engagements, but if then the users don't convert, like if you don't bring the money home, this entire strategy doesn't work. So I prefer to focus on A/B testing with the control group, checking the event that we want to produce.
Got it. Well, yeah, it's important to test with A/B testing the content that you're sharing, because you can't say from the beginning how it will work with the audience you have. So you need to test and check different variants.
Very true.
Yeah, and I see that we're running out of time, so we have only a minute left from the hour for this particular webinar. And I do not see any additional questions currently, so I think that's all for now. And thanks a lot for participating in our event today. It was really great to have you here and answering your questions and sharing like the important content about the in-app messaging. And thanks, Lorenzo, for joining us today and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, guys, for inviting me. And I told you before the webinar, mobile CRM is one of my favorite topics. So very, very happy to participating.
Thanks a lot. I can say that you are really an expert in CRM marketing. So it was my pleasure working with you today.
Yeah, thanks everybody for participating in this webinar. And I'll just let you know that we will send the recording and the slides to your email box, and hope to see you in the next webinars.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.